Hi, it's Tanasha, your social worker, therapist, and Facebook Live therapist, here today to tell you it is Magical Monday again. I am here to inspire those who feel down. I am also here to uplift those who may feel that there is no light down that tunnel of darkness. And so I am Tanasha, your registered social worker and principal therapist at Mastery of Self Inc., where I do counseling for individuals, couples, youth, and family members who are seeking support, guidance within challenges of daily life. So this week, I wanted to bring your attention to the topic of one, communication, and two, suicide. A topic that no one likes to talk about. No one doesn't like to discuss suicide. I am also an author, new author. It's 2 months now since my book came out, Once Broken by Tanasha Smith. It is also available on Amazon.com, Amazon.ca. It's also at Indigo, Barnes & Noble, Apple Bookstore. It's also available at Goodreads, Walmart. Where else is there? It is available internationally. That's what I do know. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And so I hope you had an amazing week last weekend, and I hope that you started your day off amazing, because in order for us to come out shining like superstars, we gotta build a routine. Routine is very important. Hey, thank you. Welcome, welcome. And so it's important for us to have a routine, because when we don't have a routine, we fall out of who we are. We fall out of direction, clarity. We don't understand what's going on around us. So it is important that we keep up a routine, especially during COVID. There's many of us that feel like, why should we have a routine? It's COVID, we ain't going nowhere. Yes, you ain't going nowhere, but practicing a routine is good for our mental health. It is good to make sure that we are kept active. Build a routine that works for you. Wake up in the morning, know what you have to do on your to-do list, but the first thing you should be prioritizing is yourself, okay? And so welcome those who are on here. I am happy to see you and have you on. And so as I had mentioned, my book, Once Broken, it is available on all platforms, major platforms. It is a story of myself going through my mental illness, that I had to uncover some things, do some therapy work, and do some self-love to come out of my brokenness. And so I wrote this book to encourage my clients to believe that the situation that they're in is not permanent. And so as it brings me right now to discuss communication and how important it is to communicate, and the seriousness of suicide. The rate of suicide is hidden from us, as you should know. It is not a topic that is discussed, but yet we have a lot of ads and hashtags that go along with preventing suicide. And the reason why communications is important as parents, and I'll say this again, parents, I am a mother of two. I'm not perfect, and none of us are. But one thing we can master is communication. And here's why. For the last couple of weeks, I've been shown stories of young teenagers who have committed suicide. And as sad as it is, the story, the first one, was of a teenage girl that wrote a letter to her mother, to her parents, telling them how much she loves them. It happened, I think, 2 years ago. And within the story, she mentions how hard it is for her to move forward because of the person that had her captive, which was her abuser. And the parents thought everything was fine with her. And she discloses how great life was, and she had no complaints, and She loves them. They did their best. But at the end of it all, she ends her life thanking them. And out of the entire letter, what I picked out of it is that the parents didn't check in. Hi, nice to see you guys. Welcome, miss you all. God bless. And so the second story was a live story from Jamaica where a mother had given up her daughter to a community member who she knew. Her mom advised her to give up her child. She gave up the child because she wasn't working and she didn't have what she needed to provide for a child. And this couple adopted her daughter and they raised her, and she would communicate back and forth. And as she got older, she wanted to know who her mother was. And they started to bond. They found a way to bond and get to know each other. But within all of it, things at the home that her daughter was living with her adopted parents weren't as sweet as it was. And she wanted to communicate with her mom. To make a story short, mom was very close enough to her that she disclosed to mom that she wanted to kill herself. And she figured this is not going to happen on her clock. Now, mother has already experienced a sibling that killed their self, and she decided she wasn't going to bury her daughter. At the end of it all, when the mother was telling her story to the Jamaican Gleaner, she said her daughter just needed someone to listen to, and she wanted to make sure she was that person. And as we are facing COVID, some people don't understand that, yes, we're living in a home amongst our children. We are living with them. We are living with our spouse. Maybe we're not living with our spouse. But whatever the case may be, our kids are human. They have a life of their own. And sometimes we leave them in their room, which is fine. And we leave them to the internet, which can be fine. But you got to check in as a parent. You have to check in because you don't know what they're carrying. And you may say, they don't leave the house, so no one can endanger my child. That's not the case. You don't know what your child is going through. You don't know what happened to them before COVID hit. You don't know what secrets they're keeping. To keep a check-in on your child it's a normal way of just asking them, how are you doing? And it's not just how you're doing on the surface. How is class? How are your subjects coming along? How is your girlfriend? Check in to find out how are their friends. They have a life too. How is your life going with so-and-so? How is Sarah? How is Michelle, right? They have a life. And so we are busy as parents and, doing what we need to do to keep the household together. It doesn't stop us from being parents. And COVID has been a bittersweet to some of us. It has slowed things down. But let us not create a home where we're just silent. Yes, it's very important that we check in with our children. And so my story that I've mentioned I did not mention this in my book. I do speak of suicide in my book. I do speak of mental illness, depression, sexual abuse, abortion, pregnancy. I have a variety of topics in my book. But today it's suicide. And I've never shared this story with anyone before. And the reason why I'm sharing it today, because we're living in a time now where we are locked up in our homes. We are only to leave the house for essential reasons, right? That does not stop us from being human. It doesn't. And it doesn't build excuses for us not to have conversations like this. And so my story, when you get my book, as I will say again, Once Broken by Tanasha Smith, I was sexually abused, and it wasn't just once, and it wasn't something easy to carry. And no one wants to talk about sexual abuse because it's just too loud of a topic. Well, today is going to be that day. And especially in my community, and I say my community, Caribbean community, we don't want to talk about it because it's sensitive. And we don't want to put too much light on it because some people are embarrassed. I'm not embarrassed. I once was embarrassed. This girl was once embarrassed to even say that my virginity was taken from me, right? I would blame myself. And so at the age of 11 years old, my perpetrator, I should say the man who committed the act of wrong on me, I was 11 years old. And my mother never checked in with me, ever. She never said how I was doing. She never asked. I don't know if she cared to, but she never did. And my grandfather would always give me phone calls after work, after school, to find out how I was doing. And the pressure of carrying a secret, I'm the eldest daughter of 9 children. The pressure of carrying the secret was heavy, it was hard. And I remember one evening I was home with my siblings, which I usually am by myself. At that time, my mother had 6 of us. And I was in the room with my siblings and I couldn't take it. I couldn't bear the fact that I have to prepare my body and my mind for this man to come in the room and trouble me again. And they weren't home, so I was home with my siblings, and in the bedroom, we were all there just chilling and playing, and a sadness just came over me. A sadness just came over me, and I did not want to be there anymore. And I took some sheets and I tied them, because I think it's something I saw in a movie. I tied knots into the sheets so that I can put it through the window, and I packed a bag. And when I packed the bag, I opened the window and I sat on the ledge. We didn't have a mesh at the time because the window was basically not safe for me nor my sisters to be playing around. And I sat on the ledge, and I had my one leg hanging out the window and the other one inside. So I'm sitting up against the ledge like this, my leg on one outside and the other on the other side. And my siblings looked at me and they're asking me, "Where are you going? What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm going to run away because I can't take it anymore." And they started to cry. And I said, I can't take it anymore. And my sisters, the sister after me said, "What are you doing with the sheet?" And I said, "The sheet is to help me, to lower me down." But it was really to hang myself from the window. And my sister said, "But we have to come with you." And I said, "You can't come with me because I need to escape this." They don't know what I'm talking about. I'm telling you, my sisters, the youngest at that age was probably 6 months. 6 months, 2.5 years old, 4, 5, and my sister after me was probably 8 or 9. And they're sitting there. Remember, I am their mother and sister in one. And they are wailing. And I said, "I have to go. You can't cry because the pain that I'm feeling." And I'm not explaining to them the pain that I'm feeling. They have no idea what I'm talking about. But I couldn't bear the pain. At 11 years old, I couldn't bear the pain. And so when I saw them crying, I said to myself, I feel really bad that I have to go. And they started to scream. One of them started to throw themselves on the floor and cry out for my mom. And I was just determined that I had to go, because if I stay, that means I have to wait for him to come home and do it all over again. And I just couldn't bear it anymore. And my sister, one of my siblings, held onto my feet, okay? Held onto my leg and just wept. She just wept. And I said, "My goodness, I can't do it. I can't leave them, because if I leave them, who's going to look after them?" I share that with you because this girl is no longer there. I share that with you because I had to do the healing to get to a place where I can open up and share the darkness of where I used to be, right? And so when we are trapped in our minds and we are not getting the help we need, and we don't even have no one checking in with us to ask us how we're doing, how are you doing today, and to be genuine about it. How are you doing today? How was your day? How did you wake up? What was the first thing did you do this morning? Did you brush your teeth? Did you put on fresh clothes? As simple as it may sound, it is a big deal. It's a big deal. And so when that person is locked up in their darkness and in that cloud, you can't save them. But what you can do is start off with hello. And as a parent, it is important for us to understand where our minds of our children are today. Where is it at? I'm not saying to get paranoid, but to check in with them. You're setting them up to understand what it means to be at the center of yourself, to know when it means to check in and realize that, Mom, I'm not feeling good today. I am sad. Why are you sad? I'm sad because I can't explain why I'm sad. And you as the adult, at that age, you're supposed to put yourself in their shoes and try to say, you know what? We cannot go outside and mingle with our friends, but you know what? We're going to go for a walk. Let's go for a walk. Let's go to Tim Hortons. Let's go to Starbucks. Let's do something. Let's go for a drive and tell mommy what is it that you need to talk about. Tell mom how you feel. Just to connect with another human being is a big deal. And so I share that story with you because I myself didn't remember until I had to look into these two stories of two young girls, one who almost gave herself, who almost took her life, and the other who already did. And now, as a parent, when you're left with the sorrow and pain, you're going to blame yourself because that's part of grief. Part of grieving, we blame ourselves for everything. And it's a process to get over those emotions. But don't let that be your story today. Do yourself a favor. Check in with your children. See what they're roaming on the internet. Get into what their minds are. You'd be surprised you learn something new yourself. Get them, create a project with them. Maybe even do something that is interesting for the time being, just to be in their presence. It is important that we check in with each other. It is important that we recognize that sadness is a thing. Sadness is an emotion that all of us are going through. And if we don't do the work as parents, who is going to do it for us? Who's going to do it for our children? Nobody is. No one is. Suicide is a serious topic. And don't take it simple when someone opens up and share, I don't feel worthy. I don't feel like myself today. As parents, let's do our best by checking in with our kids and giving them what they need, which is love and someone to listen to. I thank you for coming on today. I hope I inspired you to just continue to do your self-care. It is important that we take care of ourselves first so that we can be available to others. Be your best self. Strive to always be your best. And I'll see you next week back here on Magical Monday with Mastery of Self, Inc., your registered therapist, Tanasha Smith. Take care.